look at page 387. We spoke last week about what happens if people are sitting all around a table and one person wants to make hamotzi for everybody. They have to at least be leaning together or sitting at the same table together, at the same tablecloth together. We mentioned a few different opinions about that. Maran, 387. Im hayu rochvim v'amru nochal. If they were riding on what?
Carriage.
Yeah, carriage, horses, camels, donkeys, whatever they were riding. Harley Davidson, whatever they were traveling together. V'amru nochal, so let's eat. אף על פי שכל אחד אוכל מכיכרו, even though everyone's eating from his own bread, שלא ירדו מהבהמות, and they have not come down from their own animals. Everyone's like, they park their animals, they're all sitting on top of their horses and eating. מצטרפים, they can all count as one group, כיוון שעמדו במקום אחד, because they stopped and they designated that place for them to eat. But if the camels or the donkeys or the horses were walking and they were eating while the camels were walking, that doesn't count. I mean, they didn't designate a spot to eat. And if people were sitting together in a field, so you know if you ever go and you see workers eating in a field, everybody grabs their own little tree, their own little place, their own spot, they eat, lunch break.
Picnic.
Or people decide they want to do a picnic. That's right. Now here, picnic is interesting. Then remember last halakha we said that if you're sitting at the same cloth, then you all count for the same meal. So I think that that's probably the last remnant we have of such a cloth. That picnic blanket you put down that all the food is on, everyone's sitting around it. That would be like sitting at the same table. That's very good that you brought up. That fabric is like we don't really do that at home, but when we go to the park and you put in a picnic blanket, all the people that are part of the same party sit around the same area. That would be sitting together. Here we're talking about, let's say you're doing, I don't know, kiddush at the park. I've seen this thing happen recently. Then everybody goes, they take their own benches, some of the grass, some of the sand, and they're all doing lunch together. But they're not really eating together. They don't have a set table. They don't have a set place. They don't have a set cloth. So everybody is required to do their own bracha. Even they're all eating at the same time. They're all even eating from the same challah. Because they did not establish a place to eat. And they're eating all scattered around. They cannot be included in the same blessing one with each other. The next halakha is really important. We'll get to it in just a minute. Let's read the notes in the bottom. You see on page 387, under the two lines, there's the last two lines of the middle section starts with Lamed Teh. Last two lines of the middle section starts with Lamed Teh. Up higher, remember? The middle section. Up there. Lamed Teh. Hayu rochvim al gabei behema. If they were riding on top of an animal. Afilu maya kol echad mehem ochel mikikaro. And even though everyone is eating from their own loaf of bread, they did not come down from the animals. They can be included in the same blessing. One makes hamotzi and says it for everybody. As long as 388, they meet two conditions. What are the two conditions? Top of 388. The first one, that they're designating a place for themselves to eat together. They say, we'll eat here. Let's stop here. Say it. They shouldn't be eating while the animals are riding. The second, they should all be in the same place, so they shouldn't be scattered around.
What defines scattered?
Not together. Whatever you would say is scattered.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you a question. What if you're all sitting in the same car, but the car is driving?
Good.
Is that good?
No.
Well, it's not a good way to eat, but
You're not
it's
supposed
to-
eating together.
Meaning, can one make hamotzi for everybody in the same car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? But it's moving.
But it's a same
But you're-
platform.
We'll get, that's right.
Relativity.
What did you say?
אבל אם
discovered
היו אוכלים
relativity.
והולכים, but if they were walking and eating, the animals were moving and eating, או שהיו מפוזרים ומפורדים בכמה מקומות, we were separated amongst, different places. אפילו כולם באותו הזמן ומקרה אחד, even though they're all eating at the same time from the same loaf of bread, אינם מצטרפים יחדיו שאחד יכול לברך כולם. They don't count as one group that one person can make a blessing for them. היו יושבים בעגלה, if they were sitting in a carriage, like a horse-drawn carriage. והייתה העגלה נוסעת, and the carriage was driving. By the way, when I first got married, I took my wife to shop at Ralph's for Shabbat. I go there, my wife says, you want to bring a carriage? Sorry, you want to bring a wagon? Wagon. They call a shopping cart a wagon. And the baby stroller, they call it a carriage. So between wagons and carriages, I felt like, she missed the golden rush over here. In California. Well, a lot of wagons and carriages once upon a time. But here, it's literally, Mama, you're sitting, imagine the movie's white fabric and you're in the back of a horse-drawn carriage. Yeah. And it was moving. And someone there says, I brought berry for everybody, let's eat. And one of them makes a hamotzi for everybody. יצאו ידי חובה, they fulfill the obligation. ומכל מקום נכון יותר שכתחילה כל חי ברך עצמו. It's better if everybody should make a blessing for themselves. Why? I don't have an answer why he adds that sentence. Ignore it. I don't understand it.
At first he says it's okay to
Yeah.
one say it, and then at the end he says, no, it's not.
Maybe because they'll all be split up by the time that they do Birkat Hamazon and would not be
No, they're all
available
the same
to
carriage. They're all in the same place.
now. Maybe like that'll change. When they debark, somebody debarks at this stop, somebody
I'll tell you
debarks
why.
at that stop.
I'll tell you why he says. Let's do this note in a second. That's a good. 1 second. Let's read the next sentence. אם היו יושבים בכלי רכב, כגון ברכבת או באוטובוס, if they were sitting in the same vehicle, like a רכבת, what's a רכבת?
Train.
What's an autobus?
Bus.
Bus.
That's really hard though, a bus. והיה הרכב נוסע, and that vehicle was moving. וכן אם היו טסים ביחד במטוס, and if they were flying together in a מטוס, in a plane. או שהיו יושבים בספינה, or they were sitting in a ship, והייתה הספינה נוסעת, and the ship is moving. ואמרו בואו נאכל ואוכלים ביחד, let us eat, we eat together, יכולים להצטרף יחדיו, שאחד יברך לכולם ואפילו חתחילה. In this case, they can all be included together, even on an ideal level. There's no reason for them to make a blessing separately.
Got a wagon?
But a wagon is different.
Why is the wagon different?
Yeah.
What about a car? They did not say a car.
I don't think
Yeah,
a
of course.
wagon,
Why would a wagon be worse than a car?
well,
Or a
wagon didn't have any shock absorbers.
there's one person who's
so
driving
people
it.
usually didn't ride in it.
So one person is driving it.
They're right in it?
At least the wagons that went across the
Covered
U.S., the covered wagons,
They rode on the horses.
yeah, because the wagon itself was wooden wheels with, and every time it went over a bump, it bumped.
Like my van.
Yeah.
Let's read the note here. And I wasn't going to, but let's do it. Because it came up. Baruch is not off. 388, the right column. Where it says Membet. עיין במגן אברהם. Look in the מגן אברהם. שנסתפק, who has a doubt, והיו יושבים בעגלה אחת, and they're all sitting in the same wagon, ואמרו נאכל כאן ואוכלים ביחד. And they all eat together in the same wagon. יש לומר, דאף על גב דרכוב כמהלך, even though we say that someone who's riding is like they're walking, והוא הדין יושב בעגלה, and that should be the case in the wagon, מכל מקום, כיוון ששלושתם יושבים בעגלה אחת, יש לומר דמצטרפים. Because these 3 people or 5 people are all sitting together in one row, in one place, maybe they do count as one group. אבל העלייה רבה, but העלייה רבה, מצדד, he writes, שמצטרפים על כל פנים בדיעבד. That, yeah, maybe yes, maybe no, but let's say that בדיעבד, after the fact they can count. והיו בפרי מגדים ובמשנה ברורה, and the פרי מגדים and the משנה ברורה said the same thing, והם בבית מנוחה, look in the book מנוחה, שפסק להקל בזה. He said you can rule leniently here and they do count. ועיין בחיי אדם. Look in the book חיי אדם, שכתב להחמיר בזידן זימון בעשרה. He was strict about this, that you shouldn't count it as a group of people who can do a zimun of 10 together. והוא בא בקו החיים, the קו החיים quotes this, וכתב שאף לעניין ברכת הנהנין, כל אחד ברך לעצמו. Even in regards to blessing hamotzi or anything else, it's because traveling is considered walking, every person should make their own blessing. וכן כתב להחמיר בערוך השולחן. And Rav Yechiel Michael Epstein writes the same way in the ערוך השולחן. ולעניין היה נוסע בספינה, כתב מגן אברהם, דשאפר חשב צירוף. And the Magen Avraham says that a ship is better than a wagon. לכן כתבו כמה אחרונים, and a number of אחרונים write the same thing, don't worry, we'll get there. ועיין במור וקציעה, look on the left column of 389. In the מור וקציעה he writes שכתב לתמוע למגן אברהם שהסתפק להם יושבים בעגלה ופשוט עליהם יושבים בספינה. He says, why do you make a difference between the wagon and the ship? Why is the ship for sure okay, but the wagon is not? וכתב שבין העגלה בין בספינה הדבר תלוי אם יכולים לכוון לשמוע ברכה כראוי. And he writes, the מור וקציעה, that it all has to do with whether or not you can hear the blessing properly. Whether it's a wagon or it's a ship. וכל שאין טלטול הדרך מפריע להם, and so long as the traveling does not bother them, that could be shocks, that could be noise, that could be dust, does not bother them from having proper kavanah, לכוון כראוי שפים וסנפים, they can all count together. וכן כתב לבאר בנימוקי אורח חיים, and that's what he explains in the נימוקי אורח חיים, בעיין בתורת חיים סובר. שכתב לדחות דברי המור וקציעה, הספינה אין שייך לומר רכוב כמהלך, and חיים סובר pushes off the teaching of the מור וקציעה, says no, the reason why a ship is different, because sailing is not the same thing as walking, and you can't compare the two. וכן כתב בשולחן ערוך הגאון רבי זלמן writes the same thing, in his שולחן ערוך לבאר דברי המגן אברהם, to explain the words of מגן אברהם, בספינה דנייך לא אמרינן רכוב כמהלך, וגם אחרונים. He says the real reason, says the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, is that riding when it's comfortable is different than riding when it's not comfortable. And because of your amount of concentration you can have. If you're sitting in the back of a wagon and you're bouncing up and you're falling out and you're out of your chair and you're not holding it, you're not paying attention to the meal. You're sitting in an Amtrak train car and you're all sitting around the same table and air conditioning with Wi-Fi, it might be a different story.
Which means today, in a car, that's much more comfortable than anything than given something.
That's what he writes in the next paragraph. That our methods of travel today are obviously world better than even the ships they had back then.
But in terms of the noise, airplanes are very loud.
So make your own hamosiyah on an airplane. Airplanes are pretty loud.
Also, when you're in an airplane, then just order a little muffin that has like some grape juice inside it. Like that gives you.
You get to order, they throw food at me.
You throw the. That's all they give you is a grapefruit, you know.
They
gluten
have
free.
The
grape filled dough.
Yeah, don't get me started on mezonot rolls. If mezonot rolls are mezonot, then I am the Pope in Rome.
Exactly.
Some people like
In order for a roll to be mezonot, it has to be like a cake. Those things that are made with a little bit of apple juice and then they taste just like bread. They taste worse than bread. They're not even good like bread. And when you say something in mezonot, you're talking about like a cinnamon bun. Mezonot.
Are you saying it over the flour or the sugar?
What?
Are you saying it over the flour or the sugar?
That's the question here.
There
If
go.
you put enough sugar in your challah that it's really a cake, then that's where it's mezonot. And these rolls that they put on the plane, right, mezonot, they just put a little bit of fruit juice in the mix. Like in Israel, they do all the time. They add some apple juice to the pizza dough, and they apple juice and water and salt and yeast and flour, and then they put on top of it garlic and cheese and tomato sauce. Oh, but it's mezonot. Unless you had a sign saying there was apple juice here, I wouldn't know there was apple juice inside of it. It's not it's not a cake. It's not a cookie. You have to be honest with yourself. And those rolls, you can ask. They have a trick. I was on a plane once. I got the mezonot roll. I took a little piece. I said, "Elchanan, you want some cake?"
Yeah.
Give it to him. Oh, but that's not cake. That's bread.
Precisely.
Sorry,
Now
Rabbi,
you know what you
whatever
are.
his name was,
Yeah.
the rapper. Elchanan ruled that this is bread, not cake.
Yeah.
It gives a whole new meaning to eat cake, not bread. This
Let them eat cake.
not to make cake. That was the.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe she just meant mezonot rolls. So let's look on page 389. Maran. So now Maran after talking about what counts sitting together, what doesn't count sitting together, he says something very interesting. Hechad lo kav'u makom. In any situation we mentioned above where it doesn't count as designating a place, meaning where we say that everybody has to make their own blessing. Im kiven hamvarech leotzian, if the blesser had in mind to have them in his bracha, v'hem nitkavu letzet, and they have in mind to fulfill the mitzvah with his bracha, yatzu, he fulfills their obligation. So even though they don't designate a place, if they still were sitting in the park, and he makes a hamotzi out loud, and has in mind to make hamotzi for them, and they listen to his hamotzi, and they think he's making hamotzi for them, they don't have to make their own hamotzi. In fact, they can't make their own hamotzi. So let's say that in all the situations we mentioned, if the people think that it's okay to sit around all over the park making hamotzi, they just join together for a communal hamotzi, then it works for them. Because even though you shouldn't do this ideally, it works if it happens.
After the fact.
After the fact. There's a lot of fighting over why Maran said this and how he said this and where does he get that from, but let's do it. Page 391, this is an important halakha. This happens all the time. And I see so many people that don't know this halakha. You're at a large table with people. Who makes the hamotzi? People are saying, oh, please, you make the hamotzi. No, you make the hamotzi. People like to offer the honor of making hamotzi to each other. Happens all the time. Many Shabbat meals. Maran writes, Im hamisubim rabim. If there are many people sitting at the same table. Gadol shebekulam botzea. The greater of them makes the hamotzi. How do you define who is greater and who isn't? How do you figure it out?
More kilos.
Right, the physical greatness, the one, not the oldest either, the one that everyone respects the most. The Tamil Chacham there, the most important one there,
Like a Kohen or a Levine.
Oh, Ramaz going to talk about that right now. Very good.
Well, what about like Balabait versus?
We'll speak about that in just a moment, we'll get back to that. V'im hem shavin, and if they're all equal. V'chad mehem kohen, and one of them is a kohen, says the Ramah. Mitzvah lahagdimo. It's a mitzvah to give him the blessing of hamotzi. V'im hakohen am haaretz, and if the kohen is an ignoramus, like many of the kohenim today.
Wow.
What is an ignoramus? He's not a tamich chacham. Tamich chacham kodem lo. If there's a tamich chacham in the room and there's a kohen in the room, but the tamich chacham is a tamich chacham, but the kohen is just an am haaretz, you give the tamich chacham and not the kohen.
Yeah.
It works like this. Where else?
Aliyahs.
Aliyot to the Torah. A kohen doesn't go up to the Torah if he's an am haaretz and there's a tamich chacham in the room. A tamich chacham goes up for kohen, and the kohen loses his aliyah. My assumption is there are a few reasons why we don't do this today. One, probably because all the kohanim will leave the synagogue. Two, because not all the people who consider themselves Talmidei Chachamim are really Talmidei Chachamim enough that they can push off a kohen from his aliyah. It just would cause a lot of problems. I once heard, I wasn't there, once heard that Rabbi Yosef would always take the first aliyah in the Beit Knesset, even when they're kohanim. Which kohen in his community knew more than him? No, so he took the first aliyah. Kadid. And they wanted that. That was why they prayed in his house. You know that. But that's but here by Hamotzi they give to Tamich Chacham over Kohen Am Haaretz. V'ima Kohen gam ken Tamich Chacham. And if the Kohen is also a Tamich Chacham, ela shu pachut min hasheni, but he's not as big of a Tamich Chacham as the other one. How do you measure who's a bigger Tamich Chacham? Who isn't? Let's give a simple case. One is the rabbi, one is the student. They're both on. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, now there could be students who know more than the rabbis. I'm just let's say that it's easy to quantify, and everybody would know that he's the talmid and he's the chacham.
In general.
Yeah. Tov lahakdimo, aval en chiyuv badavar. It's better to give to the kohen, but there's no obligation to do so. So it could be that the kohen can pull rank because he's a talmid chacham and the kohen. But if not, if the bigger talmid chacham does the hamotzi, that's also fine. In that place, it really depends. Vayen the kaman siman reish aleph. Look what I'm going to write in siman reish aleph. Says the Rama. I don't know if he's going to write or Maran's going to write. Vim yeshi mehem bal habayit. And if, back to Maran, and if the bal habayit, you're at someone's house, there's a host there. Hu botzeh, he makes the hamotzi. Va'afilu im ha'oreach gadol. And even if there's a guest that's bigger than him. Imagine the situation that our parents would come to visit the community, and he would come to my house, not the Beit Knesset, to my house. In my house, it could be I would ask him to do kiddush. I'd ask him to do Birkat Hamazon. But hamotzi, I would do. That's the halakha that recommends. V'amvarech yomar tchila, and in that kind of situation, the one who makes adds the ramah, the one who makes the blessing, in the presence of someone who's greater, says birshut morai v'rabotai. With the permission of my masters and teachers.
Yeah.
That's a very silly thing you see today. People do.
Yeah, when
They're the rabbi, and everybody else is Amei Haaretz. Oh, birshut morai v'rabotai. Who's morai v'rabotai here? Who's your morai v'rabotai? Who? This is what Samech going to say. Birshut. Birshut who? They think you just say birshut, it counts or something.
Yeah.
Birshut. Birshut what?
Yeah, they say like an English word, like brashus.
Right, birshut. Who are you saying birshut for? Some Sfaradim might say birshut Shamayim, with the permission of Hashem. Okay, that's fine. I say permission of Hashem. What is Hashem going to say? What is he going to say? But this idea is, to show that the host is still giving kavod to the Chacham. Now we're going to get into the nitpicking of who is considered a Baal Bayit and who is not. And who is... Let's say you're eating a meal at my house, but one of you paid for it. Let's say we're doing a Sheva Brachot for Oren, yeah, and I say, listen, I have this huge mansion, but I don't know how to cook. You know how to cook. Why don't you make the food? I'll give the place. We'll make a party. Who's the Baal Bayit in the situation? The one who made the meal or the one who owns the house? Maybe yes or maybe no. If you look in the blessing, very good.
I was gonna
Blessing
say
for the
both.
guests on Shabbat. It's good during the week too. And the Sephardic Nusach says, "HaShamayim v'et Baal Bayit hazeh u'Baal Suda hazot." Hashem should bless the owner of this house, the owner of this meal. People here sometimes make the blessing. They say, "HaShamayim v'et Baal Bayit hazeh." I don't know that the community has a Baal Bayit. The community has a Baal Suda. If someone sponsors Kiddush, they're the Baal HaSeudah. So in that case, you would bless the Baal HaSeudah. I once saw from Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shaul, I saw it in his name, I didn't see him write it himself, that if someone is in a yeshiva, and there are many people who sponsor that yeshiva, that they should make a blessing, they should bless the people who contribute to this meal. To switch everything to plural. Interesting. Let's see some footnotes here. 391.
So you're saying in the Beit Knesset you shouldn't say Baal Bayit?
I don't know that it's relevant to say Baal Bayit. Baal Suda.
I mean, Baal
It's
Suda,
probably
of
the
course,
proper way
makes sense.
to say. My feeling, I don't know if I'm right on my feeling, but my feeling is that. And
Would it be? What would you say would be wrong? That you're just sounding funny?
no, not wrong. Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Let's say you translate to English. Hashem should bless the owner of this place.
Yeah.
Who owns this? There's an owner of this place who owns the whole building. Who are we blessing?
Well, if you're at a house and you're in somebody's house, you
Rent the house. I'm talking about Beit Knesset, let's say. Let's say you're at shul. Someone says, "My Baal Bayit is it?"
It's not, yeah, we always say that's not really a Baal.
It's not really Baal
Yeah.
Bayit.
yeah.
It would be like any. Forget, it would be like any place. Like you're at work, and even the CEO is sitting there. How is the CEO the Baal HaBayit? Not necessarily. He may be the highest ranking person there, and therefore he can make more decisions. But I don't know if it has the same status as you're in my house and I'm making the rules, and that's a different status of Baal HaBayit. How particular do you want to be? I think you don't have to be particular, but there's a way to go around. You don't have to say Baal HaBayit. You're Baal HaSudazov. I just find I think by the Brit, I don't remember if it's the Ashkenazi Siddur or the Sephardic Siddur. This is Harachaman, Kol HaMishtadlim BaMitzvah. All the people who are involved in this mitzvah. The mohel, the sandag, the caterer, everybody who's involved. That's a nice terminology. You could use that other places. All the people who are involved in this mitzvah. Let's bless them. Let's see some notes here. See, the nosach of the blessing for the host is trivial. This is about who's the one who's going to make the blessing for everybody. It's not just about usage, it's about who has priority. I was once at a synagogue here in San Diego. And on the Bima, they had a protocol. If people have to say Kaddish, who says Kaddish? And the one who's in the Shiva, the one who's in the Shloshim, the one who's in the first year, the one who has a yahrzeit, the one who's a member, the one who's not a member, the one who's a member in the Shiva, member in the Shloshim, member, and they have like a whole
12 people
chart. You figure it out over there. Who has priority over who? It's not. They didn't make it up. If you look at the Mishnah Berurah, he has pages there where he discusses who has priority over who in the shul to say Kaddish, to have the chiyuv to lead tefillah. And by his Sfaradim, there's no one who leads tefillah. It's a chazan or a few chazanim lead tefillah. The person who someone passed away doesn't lead tefillah per se. Also Kaddish, everyone says Kaddish together, so there's no longer a need to fight over who's saying Kaddish, who doesn't say Kaddish. Where I've seen Sfaradim fight about is for a lot of things, but in particular in the Beit Knesset about the maftir, who's going to read the maftir. Some people have this thing. It's their father's yahrzeit. They want to read a haftarah, and there's only one haftarah. I was in the Beit Knesset in Israel, where they chose between the bar mitzvah boy and the guy whose father had a yahrzeit. They gave it to the guy whose father had a yahrzeit. I remember the bar mitzvah was crushed. He was preparing this haftarah for a whole year. And the rabbi chose the guy who, probably because he's a don, I don't know what the calculation was. It was a chayfa in the shul there. And I remember thinking to myself, like, your dad passed away. He doesn't need your haftarah. You don't think he would be happy if some bar mitzvah kid would be reading the haftarah instead and actually feel like he's coming to shul again and what? Like now all he
And
knows
for goodness
is that,
sakes, go to a different shul.
right, he doesn't have to be.
or request a separate minyan.
So his whole thing was, I'm a member, I come every week, this bar mitzvah kid just showed up here for his bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
That was that, and it wasn't done with tact. It wasn't like discussed on Thursday before the bar mitzvah. It was done on Shabbat morning in front of everybody.
It was done with a sense
Really
of,
strange.
It was a really ugly
entitlement.
situation. I remember feeling there. First, it was like cringeworthy. Everybody in the room was kind of like, oh, that's gross. But at this point, like, let's redo 2 haftarahs. I don't know. Let's make up a halakha here, but it's weird. But sometimes people fight, and he always said, you think that the person who passed away wants you to fight in the Beit Knesset because of saying Kaddish? Like, is that how you're going to give nachat to the person who passed away?
No way.
That's really what you have to think about. That's really the purpose. Because if that's what you're accomplishing, then it's only tzar, it's only suffering for the person in the next room. People don't, that's the way you have to realize. They're not really saying Kaddish or the haftarah for the person in the next world. They're doing it for themselves. And there's truth to that also. It's not a bad thing always. Sometimes it's what makes them feel like they're doing something for the memory of somebody else. And you take it away from them and they feel like, listen, this kid can read the Torah any week, but I only have a yahrzeit once a year.
He's entitled.
Of course, the entitlement. It probably would have been wise for whatever chacham in that situation to say, we're not taking away your. Why don't you be chazan for Musaf? Or why don't you give something, like throw the dog a bone, give him something else. You're gonna whatever kavod you could come up with. You're gonna open the ark and put away the Torah and do hagbah and all together. You could do all of it. Like do something that would make the person feel like they're doing a lot of things for their yahrzeit. I don't know. I don't think that had to be the solution. I know that kid certainly felt that he came to Beit Knesset and that they chose this old man who was screaming at him over himself and his 100 relatives that came to be at the bar mitzvah.
It's in America. It went fly.
Right, this was in Israel. I'm particularly saying in Israel because most Israeli synagogues don't have rabbis. This one had a rabbi. I mean, it wasn't like it was chaos and then they did whatever they wanted. I can't bring a proof from chaos. In Israel, this one particular one had a rabbi. My father, when his mother passed away, had just become bar mitzvah. Like I was so excited to always be leading tefillah, leading michal, leading arvin. Then my father passed away, and that meant that my incentive of going to Beit Knesset, where maybe I could lead services, was now diminished by if I'm going with my dad always has to lead services because it was an Ashkenazi synagogue, and they wanted him to lead services. And my father would insist that I would, or my brother, or whoever else, or one of the other kids, or a lot of bar mitzvah kids, they should lead tefillah. No, but you have a chiyuv. I don't have a chiyuv. I want that these kids should lead tefillah. You know, my mom's okay without me doing arvit. And the people at the shul had a very hard time with that. It wasn't just me. There were a few bar mitzvah kids in my age category. We were all leading services till along somebody would come with a yard site, and then for a whole year they would lead all the services. And that was hard. It was hard on people. And my father, I remember him saying, "It's not important. My mother doesn't need someone to say arvits for her. It's not even her custom. But even if it was, I'm sure she'd be happy to see the next generation leading tefillah." I don't know what to tell you. You know, I saw a letter now. I don't remember if the letter was to Rav Uziel or to Rav Chaim David Halevy. I feel like it was to Rav Uziel, but I can't tell you for sure. They were asking about making a youth minyan in the synagogue. You know, like for bar mitzvah till 18 years old, like that age range, or 11 till 15. So something a little before, a little after bar mitzvah. They don't have to pray with all the old people. They don't have to, that was the gist of the letter. Some youth movement, they wanted to do this.
Inspired.
And right, we should have inspirational minyan. Because, you know, if there's problems with inspiration in the minyan, you have to fix that minyan. It's not a way to do it is by separating all the inspirational people and taking them out.
Yeah.
But you can't take away, when you start breaking up the Knesset into this group and that group and the next group, ultimately what happens is that the young people will never learn from the older people how to pray properly. I don't know if you've ever been to a youth minyan, but it doesn't have the same seriousness as an adult minyan has. It's not the same. Now, unfortunately, some kids are just as bad as their parents. They talk the whole tefillah, whatever it is they do. I'm not talking about them. There's value to coming to Beit Knesset with your father, with your grandfather, with your mother, with your grandmother, to sit and to pray and to read and to listen the way they do it, the way they pray, the way they. It's something special, and I think a lot of times we're so excited to engage people, but we don't realize that continuity of giving the next generation something is also very important. Very important. You know, where Chaim David Halevy was once asked the question, Chaim David Halevy said they wanted to know if they should make an abridged tefillah for the kids at school. He said, you know, by the adults you can make abridged tefillah. By the kids at school, so pray overtime. Do an hour and if it takes an hour and a half, so you don't want to teach the kids at a young age. You don't want to let them not know half of the tefillah. The older people who already know the tefillah, you can skip things with them. But the younger kids, they're the ones that need to know how to pray everything properly. It's the opposite of what you think. It's not because they're young. So when they're young, they don't have work to run to. They don't have a family to run to. They just have a math class to run to. So let math class start half an hour later. What's going to hurt if they actually know how to pray properly? Everything is upside down today. Everyone looks at things differently. Let's see here under the 2 lines. Mihu ha-botzea. Who is the one who is botzea? Botzea is, what does it mean, botzea, literally? Botzea is the splitter, the terror. Who tears the challah?
The terror.
Not the terror.
It's a real terror.
It's a real terror.
Yeah, people are really.
You're
afraid.
used to seeing people use a knife and a cutting board, but cutting challah is not usual. You still go into some houses today where they rip the challah. But the whole throwing the bread, don't do it. I know people say it's their minhag. People have minhag to eat not kosher too. Don't. Bread, you have to respect it. But to tear off the bread, that's normally what you do. And when I realized this, when I started doing hamutzi on pitas or lafas, how do you slice a lafa? Come on.
Yeah.
You take a piece and pass it around, or you rip a bunch of pieces and you pass it around. You know, when you're eating a nice big challah bread, you can cut slices, but it's not the way that we used to. In times of Talmud, it was a botzeh.
Yeah.
And the one who tears the bread essentially is the one who blesses the bread. So that when we say botzeh, we mean, if we would say the one who blesses, then you have to question which blessing. Is it kiddush? Is it hamutzi? If we say the one who tears the bread, it tells us the one who makes hamutzi. אם שני אנשים או יותר מסובים לאכול יחדיו, if two or more people are sitting together to eat a meal, צריכים לכבד את הגדול שבכולם בתורה, לברך המוציא ולבצוע את הפת. You have to honor the greater one in Torah, to say המוציא and to cut the bread. ואם אחד מן המסובים הוא בעל הבית, and if one of the guests is, one of the attendees of the meal is the בעל הבית, אף על פי שאינו הגדול שבהם, even though he's not the greatest of them, הוא מברך המוציא ובוצע. He blesses המוציא and cuts. שמכיוון שהוא בעל הבית, בוודאי יפצע בעין יפה לכל אחד ואחד. Because he's the בעל הבית, he will cut the bread nicely for everybody. What does that mean? The Gemara says that the reason we give the Baal Habayit to cut the bread is because he has a reputation on the line. He cares about everybody there. He'll give them decent portions of bread. Somebody else might be stingy. And so you want to give it to the person who's going to be most large, most generous with the guests. There are people that you go to their house and you feel like you're almost a burden that you're there. Those people don't have to do Achasat Ochim. They're exempt. They make other people feel bad. Now, when I was in South Africa, it was an unbelievable thing. I came to this house. A friend of mine, for many years we're friends. But I came to the room, but I was traveling somewhere else. I came to the room where I was staying, and they had a big basket, and in the basket was an apple. They were very generous of you. It's an apple and a water bottle. The water bottle was already opened. And the note in the basket was to the guy who stayed in the room before me. So, dear so-and-so, here's your apple. Okay, they tried. I didn't expect any food in the room. I was just, like, if you're going to do Achasat Orchim, do it. So when I was in South Africa, I came to the room, and there was a table set up in the room with baskets and plates and platters, and there were chocolates, dairy chocolates, and pareve chocolates, and blueberries, and raspberries, and apples, and bananas, and cookies, and granola bars, and fresh bread, and the whole table. I went to a Moroccan house. They took care of me there. The whole table. And it wasn't like in the hotel. You take something and they send you a bill afterwards. So most of the stuff I don't eat.
But they probably refilled it faster.
At night, I took some blueberries. I had some blueberries. Next morning I went to pray. I came back, already was a new container of blueberries in my room. Kachaya, the whole 5 days I was there. I ate, one of the things there. They already went and they brought another one.
Amazing.
That's Achasat Orchim. You don't have to do that. But if you want to know what Achasat Orchim looks like, that's Achasat Orchim. I'm saying to their credit over in Cape Town. The Rabbanit over there was a real Achasat Orchim. I heard a story. Who did I hear the story from? I heard the story from an old man whose name I don't remember. He's for sure not with us anymore. I was once in Washington Heights for a Shabbat. I used to go there to visit my brother who lived there. And he used to go to this big shul, modern Orthodox synagogue, where everybody came there they were single and they were mingle. They're single and they were looking to mingle. It was the biggest social scene over there. It was great for them. They had a good, but I wasn't interested in looking around. I was young. I was in high school.
This is where they have the singles crisis, where they're all still single,
Yeah,
and
right.
50 years old and 60 years old.
So for the professor, he's right. It's called the crisis of choice. I don't remember his name. He wrote an article about a synagogue on the Upper West Side. That nobody gets married. There's so many choices that it just paralyzes people from making a choice. It's fascinating. He was a psychologist who that was his article. Agree or don't agree? I didn't read the peer review on the article, but that was his feeling. There's so many choices. When you're stuck somewhere, there are only two people to marry, so you marry the better of the two. But when you're in a place that has thousands of people and you have all kinds of friends and there's more people that come every year and every month there are new graduates, why should I settle? There's always something more. So I went to go look for a different Beit Knesset. Every time I was there, I would find a different Beit Knesset. And there was one little place, I don't even remember the name, it was in a basement of a building. It was an old Ashkenazi shul that was there probably since the Jews started coming to New York. Very old, very old. If I didn't know that it was there, you would never find it. You wouldn't think it's a Beit Knesset. It was the width of the Beit Knesset was like these two mechitzot. It was a long hallway. Like that was the Beit Knesset. And I went to pray there, and by Musaf, the rabbi asked me if I would lead the tefillah. And he asked if I know how to do Ashkenazi too, and I said yes, but I do a Sephardic accent, so no, that's fine. I led the Musaf, and afterwards, this elderly man came to speak to me. He asked me, I was like, what's share with me? He saw that I was reading a book of Rav Kook. He wanted to tell me something about Rav Kook. I knew Rav Kook. He said Rav Kook was his father's friend in yeshiva growing up. And him and his brother, this man and his brother, I don't remember his name, they once decided to visit Israel. And they sent a letter to Israel about Rav Kook. They didn't know Rav Kook died. They weren't in the... They knew their father had a friend. They wanted a place to stay in Yerushalayim when they came to visit. This was like after the founding of the state of Israel. And they got a message back from Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, Rav Kook's son, the next Rosh Yeshiva of Melkaz Rav Kook. And he said, listen, his father already passed away. But if the friend of his father's children are coming to Israel, he would love to please host them. So they came to Israel and they found his address, and at that point I guess his wife had already passed away. I don't know the timeline of his life. And he was living alone in this apartment. And he told them, please, I only have one bedroom. Why don't you sleep in my bed? I'm going to sleep on the couch. Well, you're crazy, we come to your house, sleep on the couch. He said, I wake up very early, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to write Chidushei Torah. I'm afraid I'm going to wake you up in the morning and go to the couch, turn on the light, I have to get books. You sleep in my bed, and I'll sleep on the couch. So for the weeks that they stayed in Israel, Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook slept on his couch, and they, who he didn't even know, they were friends of their father's brother, friends' children. He said, and then he would take them every day somewhere else, to this museum, to this place, to this boardwalk. He wanted them to fall in love with Eretz Yisrael. And he told me, he said, I just want you to know that I knew Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook as a person. He said, in the Achnasat Orchim that I received from him, he said, I've never in my life seen Achnasat Orchim like that. There was a man, there was a Rosh Yeshiva, was busy with so many things, but he gave us his bed. He took us on his own dime around. I once read a story about Chalmad Yosef. They once had a family member, somebody came from out of Israel that wasn't observant. I don't know if you know, Chalmad Yosef had a few brothers and sisters that were not observant. One of them just passed away recently. And they came to stay with him. And they saw they were, in Rabbi Yosef's house. There's no TV, there's books and books and books. What he can do in his house? They looked really bored. So Rabbi Yosef gave them some money. He said, go buy yourself a ticket to the movies. Go watch a movie. Even though Rabbi Yosef in his books writes terrible things about people who watch movies, and writes anybody who brings a TV into their house is like he brought the Satan into his living room. But his guest, and how did you buy him a movie ticket? This kid, you never took us to the movies. You sent him to the movies. And he said, I want to take care of them in a way that is appropriate for them.
For them.
I think it's something that we don't think about when we host people. And I don't believe that everyone has an obligation to host people. But if you're going to do it, at least do it right. It's like if you're going to give tzedakah. You don't have to give all your money to tzedakah. So if you're going to give tzedakah, you know not to embarrass the person when you give them tzedakah. To give it in private, or to give it in a way that makes them feel good about themselves. Or why give tzedakah and then embarrass the person? You're anyways doing a mitzvah. You don't want to do it right? Anyways it works. For life, I don't know. I want to give tzedakah, but I need the east wall dedicated in my memory. I understand, and I understand why we do it. People do it because that's what giving makes people give. They want to say their name, they want to tell their kids, this building, this wing was dedicated by me, I give them $20 million. Listen, if you give us $20 million, we put your name, wherever you want, wherever you want to put it, we'll put it. But the truth is that you think, what's the purpose of that? Aside from, grandiose, you want to show off yourself, or they want it for someone's askara, you want to write a relative's name over there. You don't think your relative, if your relative gets some kind of hana'ah, some kind of benefit from tzedakah, you don't think they get benefit from a higher level of tzedakah, that you didn't stick their name somewhere? If people were really thinking, they would think through these things. I once got a ride in Baltimore with one of the rabbis in the yeshiva. He took me from Baltimore to New York. He was going anyways. In Baltimore, we'd have this sign in the yeshiva, and it said to and a date. So you would write, let's say you want to go to New York. You would write, I need to go to New York on Thursday. I'm flexible. Thursday, Friday, when you book an airline ticket. I can travel on these dates, but I can't miss this class. And I need to ride here, and I need to ride back on Monday. And you leave your date, time, and phone number. Old school. No WhatsApp, we didn't have internet access. And you get a phone call. If there was somebody in the yeshiva who was driving, but it worked for me, I'm out of 10. It was very rare, but some people it happened all the time. I was on a high school schedule, so my schedule was a little stricter than other people. But they would call back and they would say, "Oh, I'm going to New York at 2 p.m. If you can meet me outside the yeshiva with your bags, I only have room for a backpack. But if you will meet me, I'll give you a ride to New York. I'm getting off in Flatbush. If you need to go somewhere else, you can take the train from there." And they would just work out this schedule. So once I put my thing, and one of the rabbis called me. I heard you need a ride. I'm going, and I'm more than happy to take you, but I'm not going to be coming back at the time you're coming back. I'm coming back 3 days later. You're going to miss a whole week of school, so you have to get your own ride back. So I took the ride. I got to New York, and my father said you should pay for the ride. You should give something, pay with the gas, and pay the tolls. I said, "Can I please pay Rebbe for the ride?" And he tells me, "No." I said, "No, please, but you gave me a ride it's almost 4.5 hours, 5 to New York. Can I please pay for something?" He said, "What do you want to pay for? How much are you going to give me?" I said, $20, $40, $5, how much money are you going to give me? I was embarrassed. I was thinking like $20, $30. He says, "You think for $20 or $30, I want to lose a biblical mitzvah of doing a chesed for another human being?" He said, "If you're going to give me $1 million, I'll think about it." I said, "But for $20, you want me to give up a mitzvah for $20? He says, "Well," he says, I'm not, he says that if a betting person wouldn't do such a thing. So think about that a lot when you do mitzvah. You say, "I'm expecting some kind of reimbursement for the mitzvah." You say, "How much money are you going to make on it? And is it really worth what you're going to make from it?"
Maybe you're helping the person feel good about himself who's getting the ride.
Oh, that's something amazing. Maybe you make them feel good about themselves. Good. So I once told somebody after that story about the ride, I said, "Do me a favor, give it to tzedakah in my zechut." Yeah. Go to tzedakah, say, "I'm giving the $20 tzedakah in honor of the ride that I got." It's fine. Let him feel like he's giving. It's something important when we think to weigh things. Why would you lose a mitzvah for so little? It's like losing all the portion of the world to come because of what? Because of a red lentil soup? You give everything for a red lentil soup? Of course he's mad afterwards. 2,000 years he's mad. He's mad because he lost his soup. It's an amazing thing that people will trade for. People do an avera. Think about the opposite. They do an avera. How much do they enjoy that avera? 3 minutes? 5 minutes? An hour? How long can the avera last? And then for what? Well, you know how much you're going to have to make up for that avera afterwards? For what? Is it worth everything that happens to the person with that avera? If people thought, if they were betting people that thought with their head, they wouldn't do things the way they do. Let me read one more sentence so I can finish for today. Ubal habayit hamukan. When we say the Baal Habayit that we say here, Hainu Shehu Baal Suda. It's the one who is hosting, who is the one who made the food, not the one who provided the food. But if they're eating in his house, v'hu eino Baal Suda, but he's not the one who provided the food. Let's say, bring your own food meal. I don't know. Bring your own sandwich. Bring your own lunch. Yeah. He's not considered the Baal Habayit in this regard. Maybe in other regards he's the Baal Habayit, but in terms of giving him the honor to start the meal, it's not his food. He provided a venue, but not necessarily is he the one who has to make hamotzi for everybody. Tomorrow night we'll continue on 392. We're going to talk about different people in different situations, who has precedence, what's really a house. What about a chatan? Is the chatan the owner of the meal? Maybe there's bigger rabbis at the meal instead of the chatan. This is interesting. What about a kohen? Know the status of kohanim? What is the mikra? What is the mamaris? We're going to do all that tomorrow night.